Enshtification is when platforms and services devolve into an experience that's bad for users and businesses. Some examples are Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft. This definitely isn't happening at Google. YouTube is great. How does enshtification affect a fiction site like Royal Road? Are there warning signs? And what will happen to authors if the site slides into dysfunction? Let's find out. I recently picked up a book by Cory Doctorow called Enshtification. The topic it explores is why does everything seem to be getting worse and worse? Companies and services that you used to love are now hot garbage. Before we get into how this might affect a platform like Royal Road, which is near and dear to my heart, I think it's worth breaking down exactly what Cory Doctorow is talking about, and doing a case study with Facebook. Right off the bat, he points out that enshtification isn't just happening on the internet, it's happening to anything that has a computer in it, including refrigerators, cars, you name it. The reason the term is becoming so popular is because it succinctly describes how and why this is happening. Platforms are especially vulnerable to enshtification. Cory defines a platform as a business that operates a two-sided market. It connects business customers to end users. A major part of his theory is that enshtification happens in stages. First, things are great for the user. Then the balance of power shifts to favor business customers. Then the platform ends up screwing both the users and the business customers. And finally, it's terrible for everyone. Here's a real-world example: Facebook. Despite its somewhat unsavory origins, it was a lot of fun to use when it first came out. I happened to be a freshman in 2002 when it started rolling out for universities. It was a great way to connect to classmates and form a legitimate social network. Investors poured money into the company, and by 2006, it was available to the general public. Their original pitch is kind of amazing in retrospect. MySpace is spying on you. Don't use that. Come over to Facebook. We'll help connect you to the right people, and your feed will be customized, only showing people you follow. They even provided a bot to make migrating from their rival, MySpace, even easier. Leveraging that amenity taught them a dark lesson. Once all the people you care about are on one platform, it's really difficult to get them to move to another one, even if things aren't so great. That's called switching costs. It's applicable in other ways. For example, with Audible. If you move away from Amazon, you lose access to your entire audiobook library. So even if you disagree with Audible's business practices, there's a real cost if you switch over to an alternative. When it comes to a social media platform like Facebook or Twitter, getting people to switch is a collective action problem. It's hard enough to get 4 adults to agree upon a restaurant and a time to eat. When you extrapolate that to the hundreds or thousands, it's very difficult. So what did stage 2 look like for Facebook? Despite promising that they weren't spying on their users, they totally were. And guess what's a good use of that information? Targeted ads. This might have been the most accurate consumer data ever compiled. Facebook even guaranteed to fight ad fraud, so this was a huge boon for businesses. After that, Facebook started approaching publishers. Remember when they promised that their feed would contain posts only from people in their network? Yeah, they lied about that too. Publishers now had the ability to post small excerpts that linked back to their website that would reach a huge audience. But alas, stage 2 can't last forever. Now we're into stage 3, where everyone gets screwed. Users were still getting flooded with ads, but they weren't very targeted. And it seems like that promise of no ad fraud wasn't kept either. In 2018, Procter & Gamble zeroed out its $200 million budget and saw no decline in sales. That means those ads were either not being shown to the right people or not being shown to people at all. When it came to publishers, they were pressured to post more and more of their articles, and posts with links that led away from the platform were suppressed. That's something I've experienced firsthand. Worse, even whole articles with no links were often suppressed, even for followers. And publishers had to pay to boost their content to have it shown to the people who'd explicitly asked to see it. Meanwhile, for users, their carefully curated feed became filled with ads and things they had no interest in seeing. Let's take a quick look at my Facebook feed and see what it's like. Okay, these people are great. I actually care about them and am connected to them. I've got an AI ad. I've got some reels I don't care about. I don't know what this is. Dunosaur? Sure. I've got some webcomics. All right. Some ads. More webcomics. I don't even know this person. Some retro games. More webcomics. An ad. And finally, another person that I actually know. That's a pretty terrible ratio of nonsense to things I actually care about. And in case you think I'm unfairly picky on Facebook, my example could have been any of these companies. Valve, Uber, Lyft, Apple. Here's an example from Microsoft. Their software had a built-in productivity tool that bosses could use to monitor their employees. Unfortunately, that's not effective when employees learn what the metrics are. According to Goodhart's law, when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Frantically wiggling your mouse or typing on your keyboard doesn't mean that you're being productive. You might not even be doing your job. Now that we have a better idea of how Facebook enshittified, let's see if any of that applies to Royal Road. The risk of enshittification on Royal Road comes down to some key areas: the user base, ads, legitimacy of positions on charts and views, AI use, and Patreon viability. Let's start at the top, the user base. I'm going to refer to this article by Hrul, H-Rule, a few times. They estimate that 14 million people visited the site in February of last year. That's a lot of traffic. This Reddit post by Core Series believes that there's 150,000 active readers and 10,000 authors on the site. That would make the ratio of readers to writers 15-1, which is incredible. Closing in on a 1-to-1 ratio would mean an oversaturation of authors. As I've seen in my own experience, there's also a ton of readers who are not registered with the site. While that's not ideal for engagement metrics like comments and follows, any engaged reader is a win in my mind. Abby, one of the YouTubers that I've networked with, thinks the ratio is more like 10-1, which is still quite healthy. Writing doesn't have the same amount of barriers to it as, say, film or creating a comic book. That's especially true with AI covers and translations. That opens up Royal Road to a larger international community, which is wonderful, but both authors and readers benefit when the platform isn't oversaturated with low-effort fictions. I think the way to avoid reducing the ratio of readers to writers is to make an effort to support creative works. When cookie-cutter template-based stories are rewarded, the platform's eventually going to get overwhelmed with noise like Facebook. Abby had another response I liked in a separate thread about the past, future, and present of Royal Road. She brings up ad discovery, which is the second concern I had in terms of enshittification. Currently, ads are a very effective and affordable way of driving traffic to your fiction's page. But that efficacy is already taking a hit. There's many more ads now than there were in 2023. One way that Royal Road protects itself when it comes to enshittification of ads is that on the platform, you know that the users are interested in fiction. They may not be interested in your particular story, but they do want to read. So as long as these ads are actually being shown to people, there's no risk of what happened on Facebook, where these extraneous ads are being forced upon people who have no interest in the product. Speaking of ads, I finally revised my own. For those of you who remember, here's my original ineffective ad. It doesn't have a clear call to action. I then came up with this jokey meme-based one, but I need to reformat it so it works better in a small image. Since I'm not the greatest visual artist, I came up with the idea to use silhouettes to represent each of my primary characters. From left to right, you have Esker, Owen, Liaden, and Guillaume. Seeing only their outlines, I think adds an air of mystery and intrigue to it. For the caption, I wanted something that would attract readers and promise qualities that the competition lacks. Some quests are bigger than one hero, I think accomplishes that. And instead of spinning it like, watch out, there's a lot of characters, it's saying these characters are necessary because the story's so epic. So how's this new campaign doing? Much better. Here are the original stats. A CTR of 0.27, which is dismal, and only 79 clicks. The CTR has now climbed up to 0.32, and the closer that gets to 1%, the better. I've already gotten 100 clicks, 2 follows, and a few read laters, which has helped me break into 70 followers, which is wonderful. I'm getting closer and closer to my goal of 100. I'd like to shout out Decade Decent with their fiction Turn to Smoke, and Mystic Inc., who's releasing Rust and Rhythm. In a final bit of news about my own fiction, I finished drafting my second book. That's a huge milestone for me. So I'll get busy with editing it, and I've already started writing book 3. Now back to our main topic, signs of enshittification on Royal Road. I took a look at the best rated stories and was encouraged to find that not all of these are older series. Some have only been around for a year, some even less. That's very encouraging. If the platform was overly saturated with legacy works, that's a bad sign for authors trying to break in. When it came to trending stories, the results were a little more confusing. Like Rising Stars, I would expect these to have a quick burst in attention and engagement. But then you come across something like this. It has 14 followers, 769 pages posted, and 14,000 views. Is this story being rewarded for releasing an absurd amount of pages in a short amount of time, in only 3 months? Here's another example of a story with 13 followers, 384 pages, and 3,000 views. It also has been releasing extremely quickly in a short amount of time. I don't think rewarding volume of content over other metrics is a healthy indicator. I haven't read either of these stories, so I can't speak to the quality, but the retainment of readers seems pretty poor, and yet they're listed alongside other fictions that have gained a lot more traction. This is an area where I think the user base is at odds with the platform. As long as users read and authors buy ads, I don't think Royal Road is that concerned with the site being flooded by content that's not resonating. However, there is a breaking point, and I think we'd all benefit from some of these metrics being tweaked, especially because that leads into the next point of concern, AI use. What easier way to churn out a massive amount of content than relying on AI to generate it? There are a lot of posts like this on Reddit complaining about it. This paying member is saying that it's gotten so bad that he's no longer going to use the platform. The primary gripe is that writing reviews that call out authors for using AI without disclosing it are being censored. If you remember Royal Road's AI policy, their main concern is that they don't want the voice of AI to influence the writing on the platform. You can use it as a tool to help your grammar, and if you use it for translation purposes, you don't need a tag if you then proofread it to ensure that the writing retains the voice of the author. Their policy is trying to deter people who are assisting the AI as opposed to the AI assisting the author. Unfortunately, since it's hard to detect AI with certainty, Royal Road's policy is based on the honor system, and clearly people are exploiting that. How much of a problem that is, it's hard to say. Another post touches on a very similar concern. If AI tags are being applied based on the honor system, there needs to be recourse for the community to identify works that are not following those rules. Seeing some of those other posts, a third user shared their opinion commiserating with that same situation. The burden of writing a long review is ineffective against a flood of AI content. There's no way reviewers will be able to keep up, and very few people will want to do that. However, just because something is cliché and written poorly doesn't mean it's AI. We need to be very careful not to start witch hunts. And then there's opinions that I fundamentally disagree with. As far as using AI to translate, I'm all for that. I think that's a great use of it, as long as you're proofreading it. This is the part of the argument that I take exception with. The world building of a story is important and often requires research. You may not want to prioritize that as an author, but in my opinion, relying on AI to do that for you is not great. And while sure, maybe a talented author who uses AI as a tool might be more effective than just a talented author, I think this is a slippery slope. And I think this part about being a creative genius is overlooking the fact that the output changes this dynamic. As I mentioned earlier, the platform of Royal Road rewards volume. If you're using AI to generate content, you almost certainly have an advantage in that respect. What we do about that as a community is complicated. I'm not a fan of any of these suggestions. Having to manually type your chapter into Royal Road is a non-starter for me. I draft in third-party software. Actually, 1 to 2 uploads per day for a series is something I could get behind. That may not be the exact number to settle on, but I think something that could retweak the balance between volume and quality would be ideal. Verification is something that the platform, I think, is just not equipped to do. Royal Road's policy basically admits this. We can't accurately police AI content. So I think they need to deputize the community to do so. Make sure that good faith reviews that are criticizing a work for undisclosed AI use are heard and visible. Maybe even have a totally separate way to do this from reviews. Ensuring that that's not abused could be difficult. I think how Royal Road and the community respond to AI use are going to define whether or not the site becomes ttified. The final aspect of this huge topic I want to touch on is Patreon. That first article I mentioned has some great data to share. I think the prospect of earning a livable wage through Patreon membership is what drew a lot of people, myself included, to the platform. Unfortunately, the value of monetizing in this fashion has declined. It's harder than ever to get Patreon subscriptions, and they've gone down in value. While the conversion rate of followers to Patreon supporters has increased, which is great, getting followers in the first place is now harder. Why might that be? I think there's just a lot more competition on the site, and Patreon, unfortunately, is a bit of a zero-sum game. Readers have a finite amount of money to allocate towards Patreon subscriptions. It's also likely that they feel loyalty to authors who've been around for a long time. That translates into less money available for the newer authors. And I think that creates a dangerous dynamic when coupled with the threat of generative AI. More and more authors are drawn to the site with the promises of making money, and the easiest way to do that is to release a ton of content. With the way things are currently trending, oversaturation is inevitable. So I think it's incumbent on the community and the platform to really put their heads together and try to come up with solutions. I really wish Tambi and I had all the answers, but we're also out of time. Next video, I hope to touch on some solutions and an alternative platform called Quibble. Oh no. Oh no.